Keep these up, guys, since we're going into the off season here to do Q&A. So if you didn't catch this live, then that's fine. Just remember, maybe we'll do it. What's a good day of the week to do
What
this?
are your opinions on long toss?
All right, we'll get into that. What's your opinion, and what's the best day of the week if we start doing this?
Tuesdays and Thursdays?
Yeah, those are good days. Okay, so Thursdays. Today's the Thursday. It's probably a good day to do this. I like it. All right, so what are your opinions on long toss? I'm going to take that, and then if you want to put in your opinion, that's fine. So throw, and I want to add distance. So you're kind of asking me, like, what do you think about adding distance to my throwing? Well, if you're a pitcher, which when you're in a game, you're mostly throwing 60 feet, right? Rarely do we throw past 60 feet, 6 inches. So obviously I'm going to be more, that's going to be more important to me at that distance, 60 feet, 6 inches, because that's where I'm required to throw. So if I'm going to go past that, that's fine. But if it starts changing what I do to throw 60 feet, 6 inches, then that's going to be an issue for me, right? Because when I throw it, say 300 feet to when I throw 60 feet, I'm throwing. So if I'm doing them differently, then it's going to be a confusion to my muscle memory, right? To the more primitive memory of how we basically we do things, we automate things. So. And that's what we're finding. We find in studies show that when we go to max distance, not only do the torques get really excessive on the arm and exceed what we experience at 60 feet, but we change our mechanics. Like, think about it. If I'm throwing 60 feet, I can go pretty close through my delivery like I do in the mountain. But when I get to 300 feet, I might be shortening my strides, releasing the ball farther back for that higher trajectory. Now my trunk's getting rotational, it's not moving forward. A lot of those biomechanics start changing. So now when I get on the mound, I might start wanting to go to those biomechanics that I felt powerful in at 300 feet. So that's the issue for me when you start to go well past the range you're required to pitch or throw at in a game, and you start changing the things you do to be able to do that. I believe it starts working against you. Plus we know the torques start getting really excessive. So what's your opinion? You got thrown under the bus here, huh?
I mean, I agree with Coach Brent.
You don't have to, though.
I say, because, an infielder, they go 120 feet from first to third. That's the farthest I'd ever go. I try to keep it, a little shorter than that, like 90 feet is the farthest I like to go. And just work on, keeping the same mechanics as I go through it.
Yeah, I mean, if you could go to 300 feet with the same mechanics, then I would be fine with it. It's just the challenge, how many people can throw 300 feet with their same mechanics, with their trunk getting out here. Right?
Yeah, it takes an elite guy, right, Coach?
Right, exactly. Well, think about how studies are saying the trunk movements, like pushing the trunk out into pitch release, is so important to velocity. Like, it's the biggest predictor of velocity. My ability to push my trunk out to release. How am I going to push my trunk out and release the ball back here, right? How am I going to push my trunk out and release the ball back here to throw the ball really far? You think they're saying some bad things about us?
I think.
Someone just said, Mr. Bricks. Who's calling you Mr. Bricks?
Patrick.
They're just shooting at you right now, man. Oh, look, he spelled it wrong. He put me Bricks, and he had to come back and correct his spelling. Sebastian must not have had a public speaking class. Oh, man, they're just tearing you down.
Where are the tomatoes?
Is that the peanut gallery?
I have no idea.
Are those scrubs, like, in there saying these things about you?
Those must be day one guys.
Yeah, that's
first week
day
guys.
One guys.
Yeah.
That's I like that. Day one guys.
They don't know the handshake yet. They can't figure it out.
Winnipeg, MB, Canada. Who's from there? We need to go to Canada. A lot of people up there. D Never? What's D Never?
I don't know.
Patrick is going at you, man. You have to take that to the basketball field.
Oh, I'm going to.
We got Coach Nunez on Facebook. How would people from other states train with Top Velocity or get a program to raise velocity? So we have online training, so you could do it online. You don't have to actually come here. We like having the facility because, it allows us to do our camps here, which we can get personal working with you, and we can evaluate you. And the coolest thing is it gives you a place to kind of train through with our setup, which is built around the Top Velocity setup. And then it's cool because you're in an academy that I don't think any other academy in the country has it where everybody's doing the same program. And that's the coolest thing here. And when you have everybody doing the same program, guys really want to help each other and stuff like that. Isn't that kind of the coolest thing when you're in an academy where everyone's doing the same program?
Yeah, no, it's different, you know. Like, first thing I think so as well. Because, like, here everybody wants to help each other. You know, we have, like, the same goal, and we have the same way of reaching the goal. So everyone's, like, really doing things like this. And it's different, you know, because, like, as soon as you see somebody doing something different than you, you know, it kind of, like, changes your perception of what you're doing or what they're doing. So when we all have, like, the same way to get somewhere with the same goal, we're all doing it together, you know.
It becomes a team.
Yeah.
Right? It's why,
like a family.
Right, you get that feeling when you're on a team.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a similar effect to that. So you can do it online if you can't come down, though. How to stop collapsing on the back knee. What do you think, Sebastian?
Try to point, like, when you get into your load, try to point your knee, rotate it outwards. So, like, if you have a flashlight, you know, and your knee's straight, if your knee goes in, you know, the flashlight's going to start pointing that way. But instead, try to point the knee out and try to keep, like, your head over your back hip. You're going to be able to sit into it really well. So, like that. And then you could drive much better.
That's awesome. That's what we call holding torsion. You're taking your femur and you're holding it in an external rotated position and you're turning it out. And that's where the stability is. There's no stability here. The stability is here. So if you hold that stability, then you can prevent the collapse, which give your more stability in that position, which is that loaded position where you're on one leg. And therefore, you have the ability to peak more power. Problem is, if you don't have a lot of power in your body, are you gonna, even though you're stable, you're gonna be able to peak power?
No, because like you get into the position, it's hard enough to hold it. But you need to be even stronger to be able to get out of it and get out of it quickly. You know?
It'd be like this. And the challenge is once you learn to stabilize and get there, it'd be like if you could max squat 250, and I put 250 on your back, and I told you to go down, and then when you got to your bottom position, I'd say, okay, jump. Dude, I can't jump. So that's what would be like if you stay, even if you can stabilize this loaded position where you can get really down and get a lot of flexion and get into that leg, but if you can't power out of that, then there's really no need to get down there, right? You're gonna go other ways, right?
Right.
Make sense? Sebastian, my man, you already got a fan club, dude.
Oh, that's my boy Quentin. What's up, Quentin? I was on FaceTime with him yesterday. I was teaching him the nutrition.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That Pat put on? Good.
Yeah.
Dr. Pat? Dr. Pat's going to probably do some more nutritional stuff, hopefully.
Good numbers.
Good numbers for hip thrust. Do you do any hip thrusting?
Like this
With the
exercise?
yeah, with the bars here and you're thrusting up.
Patrick does a lot. Patrick, how much do you hip thrust?
A lot.
Patrick,
How much do you hip thrust?
how much do you hip thrust?
625 for 5.
So 625 for 5. That's pretty impressive. David Arsma could put every heavy weight in the weight room on the bar and have guys sit on it.
No
too.
way.
Yeah. So yeah, you can do a lot with that because you're in a position where you're on the ground. You're not in a position where you can really hurt yourself. How do you know if you're ready for the next level from college to the pros? I've been pitching this fall and has been really easy compared to years before. How do I know if I'm ready? You give yours. I'm gonna come back and give mine.
I'm not in college yet. I'm in high school. I'm a senior. But just when you feel confident with yourself, I guess, you know, and with where everything's consistent, you know, your fastball, your breaking ball, and where like you're at a point where you're mature enough where you can focus on it, not get too high or too low, and be able to improve every day. Like now you're in a different like level mentally. I think that's probably when you would know.
But you know that. You grew up around major leaguers. This guy grew up around major leaguers, so he's you've learned from them.
Mm-hmm.
And what have they taught you?
You have to be confident. You know, you can't let anybody else tell you if you're good or bad. Especially if you're ready for something, you have to know in like your own heart that you're ready for the next step or you're good enough for this or that. So that's what everybody says. They have a routine that they follow every day. And from this routine, they have confidence in the game because they've been in the situation every time before. And now that creates confidence for themselves as a player and as a person as a whole.
That's huge. I remember David Artsma used to say when he would toe the rubber, he would look at the corner of the rubber and just focus on it, and clear his head and just focus on that corner of the rubber until everything calmed down, because he said that's the one thing that he knew no matter where he was in baseball, that corner of the rubber was the same, right? So it doesn't matter where he is and the distractions he has, but when he'd look at that corner of the rubber,
he could find a place of comfort that he saw every time. That's where he was every time to start his game. And it gave him that, it was a routine that gave him that confidence to clear his head and then take all the distraction out and just do what he did well, just pitch, right?
So it's cool how those two things kind of come together.
Yeah.
Seaweed doesn't want it.
That's Patrick still. He thinks my hair looks like seaweed.
All right. Oh, this is Coach Alex. Do you hold torsion and drive leg longer, or keep drive leg heel in the ground longer? So what is he saying? Do you hold torsion and drive leg longer, or keep drive leg heel longer? So
yeah, you can keep the heel in the ground longer because you're trying to sit in your posterior chain. Because if you're coming out of leg lift and you're going into your quad, then that's going to make you want to lose torsion. So if you're sitting in your heel, then you're in your posterior chain, then that's an easier place to hold torsion because that's where the hip is flexing. When this hip is flexing, you're going into a torsion position. So
yeah, you do want to feel like you're sitting in your heel. Let's see what else we got. I love you, Brent. My idol, my hero, my summation. Dude, Patrick, he's our biggest fan, man. Okay, let's see. Who's that?
That's my dad.
That's your dad. That's awesome.
So give him a follow.
That's me. Come up. Or give him a follow. Or I'm going to wave to him.
Yeah, wave to him.
I can't wave. Why can't I wave
Tap
to
his
him?
name. Tap his name. You can't wave
We
to
can
him
go live with
because
him.
he's private.
Probably. Come up to run some clinics at Home Run Sports Training Facility. We'd love that, man. Keep in touch. Reach out to me. Let me know dates and stuff that are good for you. So how would you join in the academy, for example, players from New York or New Jersey, etc.? How would you join the academy for players?
Okay, like, how would you
come in here. So you basically just register for camp. Everyone who trains here has to come through a camp because we want to analyze you, evaluate you, and instruct you through the programming. So then you can train here, and you'll be in a good place to be able to follow the programming and know what you're going through. We're always here supervising, so if you want us to answer a question or come out and look at something, or if you want to bring us some video to look at while we're walking around, we're always here helping and supervising. But once you attend the camp, you're pretty much a member from there on out. I didn't realize this. You like my
Yeah, no, I like it.
you like my Halloween? Very nice theme here. Have you heard of Baseball Performance Center? They have a similar setup as you guys. Have you heard of it?
No. Where's it out of?
Yeah, where's it out of? What do you mean similar setup? That means they probably took it from me. All right, let's see. Any other questions? And Instagram's doing well. Do you guys have Top B shirts? We do. I haven't made any more of these, but we've had them before. I usually give them away, and they go away. They go so fast. So I need to get more. You never got one, right?
No, I have a hat.
Oh, you got the hats. All right. We'll work on that. Catcher programs. Looking to get more explosive and need proper training program in the weight room. I have a catcher program, topvelocity.net/2x-velocity. It has our pop time programs. There's 2 levels for catchers. Hey, Seaweed, how has the 3X training helped you pick up game abilities?
Oh man, it's been fantastic. I'm two-way. I pitch and I hit, and in both, it's like night and day since I got here. The program kind of like kicks your butt a lot, like making you stronger and more mobile and like easier on your feet. So I feel now I'm swinging. Before I got here, I swung a 33-inch bat. Now I'm swinging a 34-inch bat, and it feels even lighter. And I have more pop. And pitching wise, I could get into these positions so much better, like hold them and get out of them as well.
Isn't it true that you throw harder than Patrick?
Yeah, actually, I'm pretty sure it is, right? By what, 1 mile per hour? I'm a lefty. Now he's being quiet.
He's selectively not listening. Aren't you better at basketball than me?
He's got 30 pounds on me. He has a better post game. I'll say though, I'm a better shooter.
You're a better shooter than him? Are you a better talker than him?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Hi from Washington. What's up? I'm 15 years old and I want to play baseball. Good for you. It's a good sport to play. All right, we're waiting for Patrick's next comment right here. What's your
he
next
gonna
comment?
say now?
All right, let's look on YouTube. I bet you we have some questions on YouTube.
What's he gonna say?
Let's kill the volume. Yeah, we have some. We said, It says.
How much do you use belts like VeloPro at your facility?
Okay, so it's how much do you use belts like VeloPro at your facility? So we use the VeloPro. We have a program for it, topvelocity.net/VeloPro. We have the LTE harnesses. Those are those yellow harnesses hanging that allow us to effortlessly sit into our load positions and get the feeling of where we really need to be loaded. The VeloPros help us not want to get out of our back hips. It kind of pulls us in our back hips and makes us do better at staying loaded and building torque into our hips. We do like to use sleds as well to help us assist our momentum or resist our momentum out of our delivery or through our lower half. So we use them a lot. I wish guys would use them more, but we use them a lot.
Here's a really good question.
Ask it.
How to help front leg collapsing? That's by using more of your back leg. And also getting it stronger. If it's collapsing, then it's probably not that strong.
Well, how would I would say your back leg could actually make it harder to stabilize your front leg. So what are you talking about?
I'm saying, so like, for example, I'm assuming like what the question is, like, how to make you do this right here.
Okay.
And if you do that, it's a lot easier to do that.
Bleeding through your back hip.
Yeah, it's going to take it where it just kind of needs to, you know?
All right, so what he's saying is a good point. If you're going down the mound, so I'll step back here. If you're going down the mound, right, out of your leg lift, you're coming out of your leg lift, you're going down the mound, and you kind of collapse and you leave your hips behind, and this leg gets way out in front, right? Gets way out in front, and then you land, your hips are behind. It's a harder position to stabilize because at that point everything's vertical, but stabilize it just wants to pop you up. So you'll give out with it. But if your hips are up, if you drive your hips up, it puts your front leg in a better position, a more linear position to want to actually kick back. It's an angle thing. It's keeping your hips ahead, which is really the key. The other thing to preventing collapse is when you hit front foot, if your back hip isn't coming around, then what happens is you're just kind of sliding your hips sideways. So your front leg wants to give out to that. But if you land and your back hip's coming around, look what your front leg's going to do. Because my back hip's coming around, my front hip's going back, and now that alone is going to extend my front knee. So there's rotational, the rotational movements of the hip actually support the extension of the front leg, stability and extension of the front leg. Now, I don't want you to just be purely rotational, which you could, but there's a little bit of that in there. Guys that are landing that aren't getting rotation are going to have a harder time stabilizing and extending the front leg. Also, like what you nailed was the power. You know, the studies show up to 250% of your body weight hits your front leg.
That's like squatting one leg.
250% of your body weight. So if you can catch that 250% of your body weight in a split second, because when you land, you have 0.2 of a second to release a pitch, where you can stabilize and extend. Then you're not collapsing, but that's a lot of power because you're catching not only 250% of your body weight, but you're having to extend into it as quickly as you can. I think they're all conspiring against you today. I believe that's a lie, Patrick wanted you to know. The guy said they're based out in South Jersey. They have a big Instagram following. When I said they had the same setup, I mean they have a facility where everyone comes in and works on the same thing.
Oh, I bet
cool.
some of the
That's
guys
really cool.
going to my school next year go there. To LaSalle, because there's some dudes in
They go
New
there?
Jersey. Yeah.
You know the name of it? I don't know. Oh, he said it was baseball performance, whatever.
Actually,
Better shooter. You kidding me?
Who's Dean Nichols?
That's Dylan.
Yeah, hey. Right now.
Let's go.
I gotta be. No, I'm kidding.
D. Nichols, he has to be
You
kidding.
don't want it, son.
Dude,
You
they're
don't
all
want it.
over you. Why do you guys train on flat ground, and does that affect anything? Well, the reason we train on flat ground is because it forces you to use your lower half better. So if we're on the mound, you have that incline and it gives you a lot of momentum. And what happens is you get kind of lazy on the mound. I mean, I'm not taking us away from that. And we do need to work to the mound. A lot of the drills I say work to the mound. We'll pull the mounds right into our flat ground stations. But what it is when you're on a flat ground, the creating momentum, creating power is harder to do because you don't have that added fall, right? So it makes you really work harder at your lower half. And then when you get on the mound, you do have to kind of learn to change the angles and the timing a little bit, but then you have all that flat ground power that you've been building, and it really, really helps. So I think studies have shown that the torques are higher in flat ground, but I believe it's in the guys that don't use the lower halves well. So when they get on flat ground, they don't have a lot of momentum, and then they try to crank their arms up. What I typically find with my guys is when they get all these good lower halves from the mound, then they get on the mound, or on flat ground, then when they get on the mound and they can put it together, that's why a lot of them get the big jumps. Because the flat ground was building their lower halves to be really explosive, and the mounds gave them assistance through that, and they get the bigger jumps and velocity. Wouldn't that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Because, I mean, you feel it. You're a guy who's really trying to get more explosive in your drives, and you obviously going to feel like you throw so much harder on the mound than you do in the flat ground.
Yeah.
And you want to get to the point where you can get as
Especially
close
with the
as you can.
drive, too, yeah.
I mean,
The drive is hard to do flat
a
ground.
lot of our testimonial guys they'll throw 90, 192 on the flat ground, and then they're like 92, 93 on the mound. Not much of a different spike. Some of them be pretty close to the same.
Right.
You see any questions over there?
Coach, my son and I did your 3X program over the summer. We saw a nice increase in his fastball velocity, but his curveball has flattened out a little bit. What do you recommend?
So to me, that's striking that would happen. Usually when your fastball velocity picks up, your spin rate picks up. So your breaking balls should get better. It could be maybe you didn't have great spin rate to go into it, and maybe you were changing your mechanics on your curveballs, and maybe you're not changing your mechanics now, and you just didn't have great spin rate. And that's why pitch development, it's actually a really effective approach now, because when you look at a guy who doesn't have a lot of spin rate, doesn't mean he's not effective. He could actually be very effective because he doesn't have a lot of spin rate, because the ball actually looks like it's coming slower and it gets up on him quicker. But those guys don't need to be throwing breaking balls. Those guys are like you're throwing change-ups, throwing splitties, or I mean, if it is a curveball, it's a sloth kind of change-up curveball.
Yeah,
you don't want to be, you're not going to be throwing any tight spin, cutters and sliders, because you don't have the spin rate.
Right.
So you're going to be a more change-up, off-speed kind of guy, like splitties, change-ups. There's obviously going to be more on the breaking stuff, but the thing is that could be the case. So you just got to see, did you change your mechanics? Ultimately, if you're throwing harder, your spin rate should have picked up and you should have more break on your ball. I'd have to see, or maybe now he's changing his mechanics now on his curveball. I don't know. That's something where we would need his biomechanics to really understand it.
There's another good one.
Why do you guys, let me do this one. Why do you guys train on flat? Oh, we already did that one.
Yeah.
So what's the one you got?
What muscle groups should pitchers target? That's a good one, right?
All muscle groups. So pitchers, to me, are the best athletes in the world. It's the fastest human movement ever recorded in a laboratory. It's multiplanar. It goes in all directions. So if every muscle isn't optimal in supporting the kinetic chain, so if you just built a bunch of big, primary muscle groups, like, all your quads and your lats and your chest, and you didn't focus on, say, the smaller muscle groups, like the external rotators, the internal rotators of the hip, even in the shoulder, you're going to wind up not only having performance issues, you're going to be injured more. So the point is, like, I don't think you could not. I think with baseball players are better at addressing all the muscles. What I find is typically baseball players don't enhance the big muscles. So the thing is, a lot of guys think that that's all we're doing, just trying to get all our big muscles kicked on. And what we're doing is we're trying to stay as well-rounded as we can, just like baseball players should. But we don't want to neglect building the power in the quads, the glutes, the core, the chest, the traps. Like, we do want to get those things monstrous once we've gotten everything else really efficient and moving well. We do want to get those big, powerful muscles, because that's what puts the power behind the control, right? We want that perfect sequencing, but then we want the power behind that movement. So what do you think of that, no?
No, I think it's perfect. Yeah, answers it right.
So, hey, Sebastian, I saw you doing weighted balls yesterday.
That's a joke.
Oh, my gosh, Sebastian, he's throwing you under the
I don't
bus,
even like
dude.
weighted balls. I think those things are
Under
terrifying.
the bus.
Where does Sebastian go to school?
There you go.
While I'm here, I'm taking my classes through Florida Virtual School. I'm a senior in high school. It gives me a lot more time in the day to be able to do things like this, and work hard.
They are conspiring against you
Yeah.
over there. Sebastian believes in equals 90 miles per hour. They just got them coming, dude. How to improve shoulder mobility. So you got to ask yourself, why do you need to improve your shoulder mobility? Shoulder mobility, usually guys are talking about their external rotation, the layback. The problem is we got to be very careful there, because that's where all the injury comes from. So if we make the joint really loose or create laxity in the joint,
if it can't stabilize, which studies show at a high velocity, it has to hold about 60 pounds of pressure back there, and then when we release the pitch, it can pull up to 140% of your body weight out of socket. So that's where you got to be careful. A lot of times when you try to mobilize an area, it's going to make it weak. And the key thing with the upper body is not only does it need to be mobile, but it needs to be strong to stabilize this position. So what I typically do is I don't actually want to mobilize the area. I want to let the area adapt to the loads, right? I want it to adapt to this position, meaning I want it to be strong and I want it to be mobile. So stretching it wouldn't be the best way. It would just be teaching the arm to get in the right position and getting the dynamics of the biomechanics to force it to adapt the way I want it to. So for example, the reason an arm lays back in the delivery is because it's giving the trunk an opportunity to push all the energy forward. So if I have a trunk that's got a lot of energy and ready to go forward and gives the arm time to get in position, now I'm going to force a load on my arm and force it to adapt and laying back to allow all that energy to transfer efficiently. I would rather do drills where I train my trunk to get really dynamic and my arm to really support that, which we typically do even with footballs and baseballs. But I wouldn't want to sit there and just pull on my arm, because what's going to happen is I'm going to weaken it in the process of getting the mobility, and then I can set it up for injury.
And what about internal rotation as well?
So internal rotation is typically, it's something where when our posterior shoulder gets weak, it'll start to shorten that range, so we lose mobility, and then a lot of the guys want to stretch it. I get a little nervous once again with the stretching, because once again, those muscles have to distract my arm. They have to prevent my arm from pulling out of socket. So if I got to a shorter range or I lost mobility because my shoulder got weak and I started to lose range, well, now I'm going to want to strengthen internally, or I'm going to want to strengthen to the posterior shoulder. So I'd rather put in strengthening to try to gain that range back as opposed to the other way around. How to improve, we got another one over there.
What would be the best way to go about healing pronate flexor tendonitis?
So flexor tendon, which one is it? What did it say?
Pronate flexor
Pronate
tendonitis.
Flexor tendonitis, so right here. So in the forearm. So that's basically just a wear and tear issue. It's the muscles that turn the ulnar and the radius over. It crosses them for you. It's the one that it's what really gives you the feel on your pitch, and you could be in a position too where you're late to internally rotate, so you're late to pronate. So what happens is you're kind of trying to force it at the end, specifically say with your fastball or your pitches. So it could be something where if you just work on what's called early internal rotation, which typically comes from more hip to shoulder separation, so your arm gets up in position, and then as your trunk pushes forward, it wants to quickly turn over and release the pitch. That might release the stress because you're trying to do it late and force it late, and that's causing more stress on it. And also too, it's just a wear and tear thing. You need to not throw as much. So I would bring my throwing volume down a little bit until it heals, and then work on strengthening that muscle. Like we do a lot of wrist flips and stuff. Basically strengthening it up from after you give it some time to rest could help. Massage would help. But that's just a wear and tear issue that's pretty common. So what else we got? Seabass
Shoots weighted
basketballs. He broke the backboard
in a game.
You did break the backboard.
That wasn't in a game of pig though.
Tell him how you broke the backboard.
All right. Well, my bank shot is too good, and the sun, with the backboard being there for so long, the sun kind of made the glass really brittle. So I was banking it, I was like 40 for 40 at that point, and then it just kind of shattered.
And then how did we fix it?
Oh man, we did a really good job. We got some
plexiglass
and some really good glue, and we just kind of put it over the hole, and it's perfect now. Yeah,
it's like nothing ever happened, right? Hey Sebastian, what shampoo is best to use while in 3X training? Dude, you need to go over there and just arm wrestle his ass.
I need to beat him in a game of one-on-one. Hey, and remember who won the game of pig? No, horse. I won the game of horse. The whole Top V program, I won. Don't forget that, Patrick.
Just bought a 2-pound.
Hey, who knocked you out? Who knocked him out? All right, just bought a 2-pound med ball. Where can I find videos
of your free lower half drills? Go download the app, topvelocity.net/app/app. So download the app. That's where I have tons of stuff and drills you can go through.
Hey Sebastian, what do fish smoke? Where is he getting this stuff?
I think it's seaweed.
Oh, what do fish smoke? Okay. That's horrible. Easy at home drills before bed for getting hips open at foot strike. What do you think something they could do at home to get their hips open at front foot strike?
This is a good one. So get into this external rotation with the knee, kind of like the lateral throws, and just lift this leg, open this hip up, and then drive. So kind of like just a bunch of those.
So it's like doing mirror work. Do you ever do that at home?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Just make sure when you're there, your hips are under you. Like, be careful getting in the extended posture. Like the extended posture is here. Getting in this posture where you're actually sitting in your posterior chain, you're actually going to get more mobility there than in this posture, right? So more of this posture. But what he's saying is just doing mirror work, where you're looking at yourself in the mirror. You're falling hips forward and down at the same rate. You're opening front foot before you land, what we call trigger hip rotation. Triggering hip rotation, and then right when that happens, you're going to drive or extend, and that's going to power hip rotation.
And like a big part of that, don't mistake opening this front leg with like swinging it open and like opening your hips with it. It's just kind of like making it in a position where this could drive forward rather than like driving sideways. So it just gets you in a spot where like you feel power going forward.
Yeah. So that's a good point. That's a great point. It's just making sure you do it at the last minute. So you want to hold close, like you're trying to hold close as long as you can, and then right before you land, and ideally we're trying to get to the point where this gets linear. I talk about this on, just search like the lower half of a 100-mile-an-hour pitcher. But this needs to get linear, and you're still in torsion, and then right before you land, you open. But you're right when you open, you got to feel that hip exposed, and you got to show that hip at that point to the hitter, and then you power and push it through while your shoulders are closed. That is a key.
And also work on the sit as well, like getting into it, because it's like force vectors he talks about a lot. If the direction of your leg is going up, you're not really going to be able to drive forward too well, So you just really remember that you got to be able to get into a spot where like you could drive forward with it, So like right here.
But see, even with you, like get there, sitting back a little more. Don't push your stomach out. Like push your hips forward. There you go. And sit back.
Yeah, and then
there you go.
Yeah.
Like that. So you're more. Now you're more in your heel.
Right.
And then you got to same thing. You got to be able to open, and then when you open, you feel it go into your power pad, and then you extend and drive.
Yeah. So make sure you get to like the right spot before you do it.
Right. Good one. What is your opinion on the reverse lunge and the 90-mile-an-hour formula? So I just think when a lot of people talk about lifts, they talk about lifts and they talk about a lot of strength lifts, and they're going, how do all these strength lifts help velocity measurements, speed measurements, which really 90 miles per hour is a velocity speed measurement. So the problem is strength lifts are really not predicated on rate of force development, meaning it doesn't really matter how quickly I do a reverse lunge or how quickly I do a deadlift, right? There is intent to move the bar, and there is some explosiveness to that, but not really focusing in a 1 second interval, which is pitching. Like after we lift our leg till we release the pitch, it's typically just below 1 second. So the problem is with formulas that are built around strength and it has no speed measurements in it specifically, I would say that's a poor way to basically define or assess your ability to increase speed or hit a high level or a high elite velocity measurement like 90 miles per hour. So the point is like that's why I put in vertical jumps, I put in broad jumps, I put in cleans, power clean power, like how much power you're creating, because those are speed measurements, or 10-yard sprint. Those are speed measurements. So I know if you're going to get to a 90-mile-an-hour level, you not only have to have the strength base, but you have to have a high amount of force production or high rate of force development in these power measurements or speed measurements like jumps and running, if you really are going to
develop yourself to a 90-mile-an-hour throwing velocity range, which is really a measurement of speed. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. And there are two good questions here. What are some drills for front leg strike? And what's the range that a 10-year-old should be throwing?
What was the first one? What were the what?
Drills for front leg strike.
So front foot strike drills. So the only thing we're training at front foot strike is the position of the hips and the position of the trunk. So for us, when we hit front foot strike, it's am I separated, right? Are my hips through and my shoulders closed?
Right.
So if you see any of our videos, we're talking about how to load into the drive leg, get your hips to open at front foot, and keep your shoulders closed. Because that's huge. That's to us like pulling the slingshot back. That's like pulling the catapult back. That's the moment where everything is loaded to launch, right? Everything's loaded. But for us, we have to have momentum in the system. We can't just get there and it just be we reach back. I want to get there and have all this energy ready to explode forward, right? Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people also talk about it more like it's like a bow and arrow. I mean, there is a bow and arrow effect into it, but like that's all it is. Like I'm a hit front foot. It doesn't matter if I have any energy. I just want my arm back. That's not really going to work if you're trying to throw 100 miles an hour. I have to have a ton of energy in my body to where I hit. I feel like I could throw you over, and I'm stretching and loading back against that to where everything comes together. Momentum, velocity, momentum, power, and then the catapult or the elasticity, the stretch shortening, explosive aspect of it is all working together, right? It's like here comes the power momentum, here comes the catapult or the sling, and boom, and it just amplifies all that energy out of your hand. Right?
Yeah, and at that point you don't even feel it. You're just flying forward.
But isn't that what creates the feeling of, wow, it's just exploding out of my hand?
Yeah.
If I was there and I was pulling back and then I had to pull through, you wouldn't have that feeling of it's blowing out of your
because
hand.
you're feeling yourself throw it rather than just getting into like such a nasty position with all this momentum and all this drive. You just let go and it's
just like, boom, out of your hand. That's what we want. That's perfect. That's exactly what we're looking for. 7-0 against you in 1-on-1. Is that true?
Yeah, but it's because he bodies me every time.
He's 7-0.
He has 30
against
pounds on me. He doesn't
How
shoot.
are you still talking smack?
Because look, this is all he does. Look. under the hoop.
You got a reason.
It takes no talent to post somebody who's 30 pounds less than you.
You got a reason to
and
gain
that's
some
a
weight.
fact.
You got a reason to gain some weight. Sebastian looks like a sports academy mannequin. You guys are harsh. When are the video analysis for the camps done? If you haven't gotten yours, you just got to email me. Email me at brent@topvelocity.net and say, hey, I haven't gotten mine yet. With a wig? Oh, he's still going at your
he's still
hair.
going at me. I think somebody's upset that they're not up here.
Tell him why you're doing the hair so everybody can know you're not just trying to look
so
like
show
a...
him also how long it is.
Was it Fabio?
Yeah, Fabio.
Tell him why you're doing the hair.
So, going into my freshman year of high school, both my best friend and my grandfather died of cancer, and I haven't really cut it since because I decided I'll grow it out and donate it to Wigs for Kids, which is a wig company that donates free wigs to kids who have cancer. Wigs for Kids.
So, good reason. Yeah. Good intentions, right? So pretty soon, how much longer until we don't see you with hair?
I'm not sure yet. I need to measure because it needs to be 12 inches from a ponytail, not included the split ends and the dry parts at the bottom. So it needs to be really long, and I want to have some hair left when I cut it, so I'm not bald.
You look good bald, you don't think?
Thank you.
How fast are 15 years supposed to be thrown? You answer that.
Man, I don't know a good question because a lot of people I know just throw it with their arm,
Well, if you're in the Dominican, 95, right?
That's at 16. That's 16.
So I usually tell guys 15, 17, 18, you want to be at a mid-80, 90-mile-an-hour range, ideally. That would help you as far as getting an opportunity to play college baseball.
Yeah, especially lefties at 16, if they're throwing 87 miles per hour in Dominican Republic, they're all signed.
Yeah.
If they hit that 87 mark at 16, that's for a lefty.
Yeah, I understand the benefits of a lefty, but I typically today don't really give a lefty that much of an advantage. I just say, look, just think of yourself like a righty, but you do have a slight advantage at the end. You're a little bit more of a commodity because they're harder to find lefties, basically. But if someone at 15, you should be focused on not where I am now, but where I want to be at 17, 18. So if you're 70 right now, then you're like, I got to gain 15 to 20 miles an hour. So if I'm, because a lot of times when you hear the question like 15, how hard are we throwing? Because you want to then come to me and be like, oh, I'm throwing 80. Like, how great is that? Like, you're ultimately just kind of setting me up to say, yeah, look, you're doing well. So you can go, see, I don't have to do anything. You shouldn't be thinking that way. Even if you're throwing 80 at 15 or wherever you are, you should be thinking of, okay, where do I really want to be at 17, 18 when teams are going to want to, you know, offer me money and give me opportunity to play at the next level. And if it's 90, 95, then you know, okay, I'm 75, I'm 80, whatever. I got 10, 15, 20 miles an hour I got to gain. That's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And if you haven't started at 15, man, I wouldn't wait any longer. You got to really get on the ball.
Yeah.
So don't you think it's better to not think about where you are, it's where you want to be, and then think about, hey, well, if I want to be here in this amount of time, I got to get to work.
Right.
Because that, if you do that, you're always going to be like, I got to get to work.
Yeah, because you don't want to be 80 at 15 and 80 at 18. There's no improvement there.
Right, and that happens
you're
a lot.
behind.
That
Yeah.
happens a lot. A lot of the guys at 15 are like, I was 80, and then 2 years later, you're still at 80, and then you're having a heart attack.
Or even throwing 90 at 15 and then 90 at 18. There's still no improvement. You know, you want to be able to get better.
And that's a real big deal because scouts look for that. A lot of when teams are interested in you from a college perspective or from a professional perspective, it's how much is this kid going to improve.
Mm-hmm.
It's not so much where you are. And actually, sometimes that's doesn't even help you that much. It's not so much where you are; it's where they think you're going to be. So, like, if you have a kid throwing 90, painting the corners, and then you have a kid throwing, I don't know, 85, and he's like 6'6", 175 pounds, and his dad played Major League Baseball. I mean, who do you think they're going to sign? They're going to sign the 80-mile-an-hour kid who has the pedigree, has the pedigree genes, and has the size to fill out. So the point is, it's almost purely set up on projection.
Mm-hmm.
So you really need to look at it as teams are. If you're already out there and you're going to showcases, teams are already looking at you, and you're already in their radar. So if the next year you're throwing the same speed, even though maybe it's still 85, which is good, that might actually be a big strike against you. It's really trying to show that you're getting better every year is the key.
Mm-hmm.
How do I purchase this program? And if I do, how would it all work out? So you can go online to get the program, or you can go to the camp, topvelocity.net, topvelocity.org. The way it works out is if you do it online, you have everything to do it, and I'm also very much involved to help you. If you come here, you can go through the camp and stay involved with us, or you can stay here and train like Sebastian has done.
Yeah, we could be roommates.
I've broken your ankles, Patrick said.
No, you have not. No, he has not. That is a lie.
Oh, geez, man. All right, do you guys have a facility near New York? Yeah, we do. We have a 3X coach out there, awesome guy, Coach Angel Lugo. He's up in Wappinger, though. It's up in Hudson Valley. How would I train? Is it a video or a workout plan? It's a workout plan and video, and tons of them.
Everything you need. Like, literally any question you could ask, there's an answer for it, and in every way.
Yes, you will. We've been doing this for 13 plus years. I own you on the court and Chad in the weight room.
He beat Chad today 3 times.
Jeez,
Overhead
why are y'all
press.
letting him win? Anything in there going on?
Let me check. How hard should a 10-year-old be pitching? What is the range? I think we kind of answered that with the 15-year-olds.
Why do you think that's such a big deal today? Now you got a 10-year-old wanting it.
Because of there are companies that don't know how to scout, so they only tell you the numbers that they know that they could measure like without any like using your head, and they just hype that up. So everybody's worried about those.
And it's really do you agree it shouldn't be an issue when you're that young?
Yeah, not 10 years old. Let them play.
Yeah, who cares?
Yeah.
When did you start worrying about velocity? Because you're still young too. You're 17. So when did you start worrying about?
I mean, I thought about it in like freshman year. You know, I'd have planned like, by the time I'm a senior, I'm gonna be throwing 97.
What is that?
But I'd say start not worrying, like start thinking about it as a freshman on a plan on how you're gonna get there by senior year. You know, so when you're 14, don't be like, all right, I need to be throwing this hard. Set up a plan. I need to be throwing this hard when I'm this old, which is like senior, you know, in high school.
Which next year you're gonna be throwing how hard?
96.
You heard it here, guys. You heard it here. 96. Tell them where you're going.
I'm going to LaSalle University. It's a D1 in Philadelphia. What's up, Coach Miller? I'm excited to be there next year.
I'm excited for you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I think that's good. Do we have any more questions, or is that it?
Best workouts for pitchers. The top velocity workouts.
Hey guys, and we're gonna do this again. We'll do this next. We'll do this sometime next week. I guess ultimately I'll try to give you an idea of when we're gonna fire it off, but we'll do it next week. We got a lot of good questions. So if you have any questions, reach out to us, guys. A lot of cool things going on. We got the app, topvelocity.net/app. You can download the app. It's got everything on it. We got a free evaluation out there, topvelocity.net/eval if you want to do a free evaluation. We've got also, if you want to get on my personal cell phone, topvelocity.net/text, you can get on my cell phone and I'll contact you. Answer the next question.
Can you please send me the info when you get a chance? Yeah, I'll tell Brent to do that. Oops. What is the average mile of a 20 years common old people have not trained ever, and how much are they going to improve their miles? I don't know. I would say probably somewhere in like maybe the low 70s. It'll depend on how hard you work. Like we're like moving forward. If you kind of like work half effort, you're not gonna see much improvement. But if you work super hard, like Brent for example, Brent's story is like incredible. He works so hard, like towards the end of, like in college and like going into pro ball. Ended up going from like mid 80s to 94, which is like super hard at the time. So just how much work effort you put into it, how hard you're working, how long you are, what you're doing for your body, you're going to end up like how he did. I was telling them, the question was, how hard should a 20-year-old who doesn't play baseball throw, and will he be able to improve much? I said, look at how he did it, like when you were in college after your injury.
Yeah, I mean, but he said he doesn't play baseball?
He said a common person. I don't know. It's kind of hard to understand.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. I mean, you're making a good point. But I had played my whole life. I just tore my rotator cuff at 18, and I got it back enough to kick around and get through college baseball. But then I really started to build and develop all this stuff, and then I got it to low to mid 90s, and I played indie ball with it and played professional ball in Europe with it, and had a great experience with it. But the point is I was already a decent pitcher. I ruined myself. So I think someone who's never played, there's a lot just getting in and learning the game that's important. And then the developmental stuff, I think anyone can get their body in shape and being able to throw to a high velocity. It will take more time if you haven't pitched a lot. But there's this whole other aspect of playing in the game and competing in the game and learning the rigors of the game, which is something that you need to have. So I already had that when I got hurt, but that's something that someone that's never played, they'd have to work on as well. Is that it?
Yeah, that looks like it's
See you on the court, sir.
I'm out right now.
Are you going to go play right now?
I mean, there's a car in the in the court.
Can you please send me info when you get a chance? What info do you want?
Check to see if that's the person who asked about the program.
I'll just put the program here. I'm putting the program link right here.
Childish Benzino wants to be in our live video.
Okay, let's bring him in. You want to?
I have no idea who that is.
Should we bring him in, or should we not bring him in?
I think we should.
Okay, you want to bring him in? He'll probably kick out. Childish Benzino, you sure?
I don't know. The guy's like a bad dude. It's just good.
We'll just
the finger
kill it.
over the X.
Hey, what's up?
How you doing?
How's it going, man?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Thanks, man. What can we do for you?
Yeah. So as I've been doing the 2X program a lot because
Oh,
I'm
sweet.
outfielder.
Nice.
And when I've been throwing, I can't really tell if I'm counter rotating or not with my non-dominant hand.
So when you're talking about counter rotation, you're talking about in the trunk, right?
Yeah, with my trunk.
Okay.
So when I'm throwing, I'm doing everything right with my lower half. Everything is good. Now when I meet the point where I'm going forward, what do you call that again?
So basically when you come out of counter rotation, when you go into shoulder rotation to pitch release?
When I'm going into my shoulder rotation and I'm coming down as far as
going forward?
Yeah, going forward. I'm having problems with my dominant hand flying,
Your glove side.
rotating,
Your
which
glove.
is, I watch your glove side mechanics a lot.
Yeah.
Your
So what you're saying is your glove
mechanics
side's
a lot.
pulling really hard.
And I really can't tell if I'm not over rotating.
Right. So sometimes when you counter rotate, if you over counter rotate and you don't have a lot of momentum going forward, then everything just goes rotational.
Right.
So you're always trying to make sure your rotation is adding to your linear movement. So to make sure that happens is you have to, like as a position player, you're lucky as opposed to a pitcher because you get a chance to build energy to where you're going, and that's that linear energy. So you got to make sure you get a good amount of energy. If not, if you're like picking up a backhand, you got to start driving like a pitcher and get your momentum going. And then once you got that energy going, then the counter rotation will add to that when it releases. So it could be you're just failing to get all that good energy going when you go to counter rotate. So when you counter rotate, you don't have the energy, so then you're just pulling and swinging and spinning out of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. Thanks so much.
Awesome, dude. So how long you been doing the program?
I've been doing the program since July.
All right, man. Well, just keep working on that and send me videos. I'll be glad to look at it and break it down. So.
Yeah, I really appreciate that, Brent. That means a lot. Thanks so much.
All right, dude. Appreciate it, man.
How do I contact you?
Like if you want to send me the video, just now I have this new thing where you can get into my phone and you can start texting me. Go to topvelocity.net/text TEXT, and you'll fill out the form and it'll allow me to text you and start texting you, and you can send me the video and I can break it down for you.
Really appreciate it, Brent. Thank you, and I love what you're doing.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Hey, and stay on, and if we're on again, you got another question, just kick back on.
All right, yeah, thank you.
All right, man. Appreciate it. See you. All right, that was cool.
Yeah,
Hey, if anybody else wants to do that and answer, go ahead. Except for Patrick. Patrick's not allowed
he's
to
not
do that.
allowed. He's hooping right now.
He's literally
He's practicing for me. Now he's scared because he's talked the talk. He's not
is.
gonna walk the walk.
Look at him.
though.
He's practicing.
He's working on the jump shot that I called out right now.
Look at him.
It's different in a game, sir. I'm gonna hit him with a fadeaway.
He is so ready for you. You think we should just bring the cameras over there? And
No,
watch
because
it?
he's. If you say no posts,
Okay.
because that's all he does against me. Yesterday too, before a Bible study.
So somebody likes your hair. Awesome. At least they're not talking smack about it. What is the average? So what is that? Is that the one we got? That last one?
Yeah.
Look, Gary. Look, Gary's on.
Hi, Gary. How you
Gary's
doing?
on.
I miss
Gary's
you. Where you been, Coach?
Y'all want to come say hi to Gary? Yeah, dude. Come say hi
Hey,
to
Gary. Kate's coming.
He's right here.
What's up, Dare Bear?
What's up, Gary?
Gary the snail.
You think he's having fun at the wedding?
Oh, everybody learn the top V handshake.
My main man, Gary.
Hey, teach him the top V handshake.
All right, let's teach him. There we go. Well, you want to teach him? Teach
All right,
everybody
like,
online.
hey, get back here, Gene.
No, well, you got to teach everybody online.
All right, so look, so it's a 1, 2, up like a butterfly, right? And then you come down, you dap, but you put a V with your fingers, and they kind of lock. All right. You have to be able to do this to get into the
No,
facility.
get Hunter to do it. Can you
Look,
do it?
Hunter can do it.
Man, Gary.
Everybody can do it when they're here. Look, even Coach
Oh
Brown.
man, you just
But
put
when
me
you're
under.
here, take a
Was
shot.
that it? No.
There it is.
No, go back. It's this.
Yeah,
it's
and then
that.
like that. You
All
see,
right,
he's
all
got
right.
it too.
Sorry, it took me a while. I get rusty fast. So you're the creator of it. You
Yes.
Take it. All right. And are they allowed to do it if they're not in the Top V facility?
I mean, anybody who has the program, it's part of the program. It's
We
included.
should actually do it. Let's do a video and I'll put it in
Yeah,
there.
no, for sure. And you see, it's important because if you can't figure this out, you need to be able to like figure this out, have that kind of hand-eye coordination to be able to throw a med bowl or something.
It is. It's
You know,
the
it
first
goes-
step. If you can't do this, you're not going to do the
Yeah,
program
he
well.
said it, not me. It goes hand in hand. I
Okay,
gotta
how
throw
can-
harder, more quickly.
So like throw harder, meaning in a shorter amount of time.
Any good sites to get good baseball hoodies?
I don't know. Can you help him out?
New Balance, Nike, Under Armour.
We're not. We're represent. We don't represent any of those
Yeah.
companies. How do you throw fast quicker? So, I think a lot like quick things that people like. He's getting a sweat on.
Yeah, don't get tired out there.
I think a lot of things you can do quickly. You know, if people want it quickly. That's not really a good approach, but
Yeah.
is hip to shoulder separation is something to learn. The more you can learn to separate your hips and shoulders can give you a little bump. Contralateral tilt, leaning more to your glove side, gives you a little more bump. And just learning how to get that momentum. Like we were talking to, and we didn't get his name.
Like Childish Benzino.
Yeah, Benzino, and we were talking to him. Getting more momentum going if you're a position player off the mound, coming out of your leg lift, getting more momentum going. These are all things that would give you a little bump. I mean, is there
Even little
anything?
things like how wide you hold your fingers, or like grunting at the right time.
Yeah, grunting works.
You know, a whole bunch of things. How you land, maybe.
And then what? Say when your ball speed went up on some of the drills here, what were some of the things that went up?
Holding the separation just like a
Holding
slight
back.
bit longer. We're getting the hips just a tiny bit more through.
Or when you started getting better at getting your momentum going. Right?
And also like if you want big jumps in a short period of time, that's probably not the healthiest way to do it. 'Cause, like everything takes time if you want to do it right. You know.
Yeah, I mean a lot of programs go for, and just to talk about the pros and cons of trying to do it quickly. A lot of programs go for intent, right? It's just like go harder. I mean, yeah, it can work, but if you do that and your body's not used to pushing the limbits all the time, you break down faster. So that's the hard part, is if you're picking your intensity up to throw harder, you're probably breaking down faster. That's the challenge to it. Not to say that we don't do that here. It's just we don't make that a real high priority. You think?
Yeah. My snap is SEBAS9292. Yeah, just add me. I'll answer your questions. I got you, buddy.
Oh my gosh!
I'm famous
Now you're gonna be
now,
famous.
yeah.
Everybody.
Coach Bentz, I'm telling you.
Coach Bentz. You could be like. You ever heard this back in the day? Pete Rose. He was a manager and player.
Really?
Could you imagine being the manager and a player?
I could handle that. In our basketball games, I could
be
do that.
manager player.
I'll be like LeBron.
Oh, that was you. Do you have a pitching coach for a left? Wait. Do you think a pitching coach for a lefty should be a lefty also, or doesn't matter? No, it doesn't matter at all because it's symmetrical. Like you cut us in half, we have the same thing. The only difference is our organs shift. We basically have. I forgot what. Our organs are more on one side of our body than the other. I'm trying to figure out which one I want. Is it the right or the left? I think it might be more of the left side. Our organs are more on the left. So that's the only difference. Our organs go in a different position for pretty much everybody. Some people are reversed, but it's a rarity. That's the only difference in the symmetry of it. But biomechanically, we're all symmetrical. So it really doesn't matter if it's a lefty or righty coach. I think the only thing that matters if your coach is helping you,
with
if you're
pitch
lefty,
sequencing,
is
knowing
how to
attack.
pitch from the left
Yeah.
side. But as far as biomechanically, it's
The same thing. Just
Yeah.
like attacking. If you had a pitcher who played, a pitching coach that played, and he was a lefty, and he was successful, that's going to help because he's going to tell you, man, what I did was to set up these right-hand batters. I'll throw 2 changeups outside, and then slow down their bat so I could throw a fast behind inside, and it looks different from a lefty. Just things like that. That would maybe help, but not so much like velo, more of like pitchability.
All right, I got to get you going because he's going to beat you because he's practicing hard out
No,
there.
I'm gonna let him get tired.
Okay. Well, I'm 5'1", 5'10", 5'1" would be tough. 5'1", 202, and I throw 75, 79. And I've hit 80 once this summer. Is that good for me, or could I throw harder? Of course you can throw harder. I mean, there's guys in the big leagues, 5'10", throwing 100 miles an hour. I mean, oh, look at that. They kicked us out. But these guys are still on.
I think we did a fantastic
Yeah,
job.
we did. We just finished up. Yeah, you definitely, size shouldn't be a determining factor. It does make you have to work harder, but it shouldn't say you can't do something, you can't achieve something. All right, so that's it, man.
One
more?
Yeah, one more. What's a good age to join the camp?
I always say age is really not something I look at because everybody's at a different maturity level. I've had immature 18-year-olds and I've had very mature 10-year-olds. So it's just, I always say it's someone who really wants to commit at this level. Someone, doesn't matter who they are, they want to read this every day. They want to study this stuff every day and they want to train for it every day. So if your 10-year-old wants that, I'm fine with it. Why would you tell a 10-year-old, no, you can't do this, and he wants to do it every day? Would you do it?
No,
Right.
let him
Now, if
play
the
it.
10-year-old wants nothing to do with this, he doesn't need to come in here.
Force him.
It really comes down to what do they want? Is this something they're passionate about and they want? That's it. But the thing is, like, passion doesn't really come in typically until, 17, 18, unfortunately. But you get these kids coming in here at 13, 14 years old and they got a lot of passion in them, but it's not as common. Yeah, one more? Yeah, there are a couple more going off on there.
Oh, wow. Someone told me you don't have to focus on arm action during pitching. Arm could be worked naturally when you do your body from leg to shoulder well.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of looking at it. Your arm does have to make sure it's in position when the trunk is ready to go, and it does have to be in a position to stabilize itself. But it's really just trying to work with the trunk. Ideally, if you're doing it well, it's trying to work with the trunk to deliver your energy. So if your arm is up when it's ready to turn, and it can stay in that position and ride back and stabilize, and then it's just going to release and carry all that energy for you, and there's not much you have to do with it. If you're sitting there like lifting and pushing your arm through, your biomechanics aren't that optimal. They're not working that well for you. So that should be it. Your arm should just get in position and go along for the ride. And over here we got, does landing closed foot affect hips? So if you land too close, so typically if your back foot is on the rubber, they say draw a line down the middle of your foot to your target. Studies show most pitchers are going to land about 7 inches inside that line. So if I'm driving, that's technically just toe to heel, and you're about 20 degrees closed. If I'm more than that, if I'm like 15 inches across my body, like 0 degrees closed, what's going to happen is now my hips can't open. They got stuck. So now my hips can't open. They can't really rotate, and then you wind up pulling across your body, and then you're all oblique at that point. And a lot of oblique strains that you get in baseball is from those guys that want to land across their body and pull really aggressively, or just don't have a lot of hip rotation. So yeah, you want to make sure you're in the right hip position to support a good open hip position. You're in the right front foot position to support an open hip position. So you got to understand the positions and all that, which we all lay that out in the program. So was that it?
I think so.
All right, guys, that was pretty cool. You killed it.
Thank you.
So he's going to go out there
And hoop on Patrick.
So we're taking bets.
Make him look like a fool for talking that talk.
They're about to go play a game. We're taking bets. Who's going to win? Who's going to win?
We have $10 wages on DraftKings.
Look, you got a thumb up. Somebody's supporting you there.
Oh,
All right, so next time we're on doing the stream, you guys remember that. You can ask who won. So this is big.
All right, that's important. I'll
right.
let you guys know.
See you guys next time.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, man.
Patrick, you don't want